Hey, what's up everyone? Looking at the Tuesday slate in this video, we have a nice slate for tonight, so let's get right into it. Drop a like down below and subscribe if you have not already. I appreciate that. A lot of questionable players on this slate, so we'll have to wait and see if we get some clarity in the afternoon, hopefully. Yesterday, Draftkings just missed out. DeRozan wasn't that good, but Fanduel cashed in on everything nicely, so looking to keep it going tonight. Starting off here at point guard, we have Lebron at 11.4. That's a pretty high price tag. I guess DraftKings is assuming Davis is out again, but if Davis is in, I will have no interest really in that price point. D'Angelo Russell looks pretty good at 9K. He's also kind of expensive as well. We get Kyle Lowry at 8,100. It's going to be dependent on some of the injury news on the team. Hopefully one of the two injured players can return. And then we get Drew Holliday at 7,900. The Pelicans are in a pretty good spot, but I just hate playing the Pelicans when they're all healthy because you just really don't know where the production's coming from. Can come from Holliday, can come from Ingram, Zion, Lonzo. They just have so many players, but it's definitely a good spot for Drew Holliday at a pretty good price point. And then if I'm going under 7K, I'm looking at Jamal Murray at 67. It's a very, very easy matchup for the Nuggets. This is a spot where they probably will be resting their starters in the fourth, so that's the only concern I could have. But if you're not worried about a blowout, Jamal Murray looks pretty good at that price point. But I like Shake Milton a lot today, 6,300 again. Being a Philly fan, there's been a lot of hype around this kid in the G League, but he's finally getting his chance to produce in the big league in the NBA, and he's been making the most of his opportunity. I mean, he's been on fire from deep the last 3 games, and basically 4 out of his last 5 games from distance. He's shot incredibly well. He's going to have to be the number 1 or number 2 scoring option behind Tobias Harris because now they're down Josh Richardson, Embiid, and Simmons. So there's going to be a lot of minutes for Shake Milton. He should see 40 minutes around that once again, assuming this game is competitive, and he's going to have a lot of opportunities to make plays, be the point guard, have assists, score, and I feel like he's still at a pretty good price point, 6,300 for the amount of usage he will have today. At shooting guard, I'm looking at, I think Beal is okay. 10.4 is always tough, but he definitely has the upside to crush that price point. I mentioned Holliday a little bit. DeRozan's been killing me. But I guess you could go back to him if you want. I probably will try not to just because I guess I can try to get back to him just because the matchup is good. But it's a slow-paced matchup, but he's still at a good price point without Aldridge. I'd say Jamal Murray looks fine, but really I like Terry Rozier a lot at 6,100. No Devontae Graham was doubtful today, so that's going to open up more usage. Also, we all know that Malik Monk is suspended, so even more usage for a guy like Rozier. Plug him in at shooting guard. The only problem with Rozier is you never know if his shot's going to go. He could have these 2 for 13, like 3 for 12, 0 for 6 shooting games that just kind of destroy you. But with Graham sidelined and with Monk suspended, he should be in line to take 20-plus shots. It's not a great matchup because it's Spurs are decent defense, and they have DeJounte Murray, who's a good defender, but I still feel like Rozier at 6,100 has the upside and the ability to crush at this price point. So definitely worth a look in my opinion. Small forward, it's the Celtics are also, once again, the Celtics are always, seems like they always have players on the injury report. Tatum is questionable, as is Smart. Hopefully we can get some news on that. At least it's a 7:30 game. Tobias looks fine here, 8,200. Played 41 minutes. The Sixers are appealing today just because they are very shorthanded, and they're going to have to play their starters a lot of minutes, and they're going to have to play like their main guys a lot of minutes. Tobias will play a lot. Milton will play a lot. And then I guess Horford will have to play a lot too. Paul George is pretty cheap at 7,100. Anunoby's been great the last couple of days, been playing him. But we'll have to wait on the injury news. I never recommend him unless I know the other guys are out, because if they're all healthy, then he's basically the 5th option. And then I'd say under 55 would be Kuzma if AD is out. And you could take a shot on like Rudy Gay or somebody like that, or Martin will see some good run, 4,100. he's also viable. But right now, I would say that if I am paying up here, it's probably gonna be for a guy, or in the mid range. I would be for Delino Gallinari. He's only 5,900 on DraftKings. That's a really nice price point for him. Been pretty consistent this year, averaging like well over a point per minute. So give him 32, 33 minutes. Should be able to pay off a $5,900 salary anytime he gets under 6,000. Is when I have a lot of interest. It's also a revenge spot if you're interested, if you're into those types of narratives. So definitely like Gallo at 59. That's a nice price point on him. Over at power forward, I like definitely like DeAndre Ayton. He's power forward eligible once again on DraftKings. If Ibaka's out once again, then he should be able to feast. We saw Jokic absolutely just destroy him. They had no answer for Jokic, as Hollis Jefferson is just no match in terms of size. Ayton should be able to have success there. If Ibaka's in, it's a little bit less appealing, but I think he could still pay off the salary at 8,400. There's not a ton to like at this position. There's like a couple of options to pay up for, and then the pricing just kind of drops off. So I think Ayton looks fine at 8,400. At center, I'm looking at Jokic at 94. Cheap price point. It's also a spot where he could rest a little bit. I mean, they don't have to play him a lot if they're up by a lot, but I think if you're not worried about that, he looks really good. I like Al Horford will have to play good minutes. He was in foul trouble, but he's never been like a high usage player on the Sixers this year. He just doesn't take that many shots, but he will have the ball in his hands to make some plays with the assists, and I feel like he's still in play at 7K. I like Steven Adams quite a bit. 6,200 for him is a good price point. Game against the Bucks, they just got absolutely destroyed on a back-to-back. Should go back to playing like 27 to 30 minutes. Some of these games, he was getting up to 30, 32. Been playing pretty well. He's at home against the Clippers team, who he absolutely destroyed the last time they played. So I feel like it's a pretty good spot for him against like Montrezl Harrell, who has the advantage over him, and Zubac doesn't play a lot, but he's not the best player. So I like Adams at 6,200 as a cheap center with upside in the 40s. And then at forward, I probably take a shot on Tobias just because I'll probably get a couple Sixers in here. Just since they are going to have to score the ball. I mean, they should put up still 95 to 100 plus points. It's going to come from Milton. It's going to come from Tobias and two top options. And then you get your sprinkle of Horford and Burks, and maybe Mike Scott could be viable as a cheap play if he starts. But they just have a bunch of just secondary options. But the core pieces is definitely going to be Tobias and Shake Milton and Horford. And over on Fanduel here at point guard, no really expensive options to pay up for. You have De'Aaron Fox as your most expensive guy. He looks good at 7,500. Then you have Jamal Murray, looks fine. But I'd probably go with Fox, Kyle Lowry, Kemba if the Celtics are shorthanded. If they're all healthy, I don't think you need to play Kemba. He could be a little bit limited, but if he's not, then 66 is a pretty good price point. But then you also got the cheap guys that I mentioned on DraftKings. Terry Rozier looks great, and Shake Milton both look really good. Rock with Shake Milton here, 5,700. Shooting guard, Bradley Beal looks fine at 10.3. I like D'Angelo Russell a little bit more on FanDuel at 8,500 compared to his 9K tag on DraftKings. And for DeRozan, it's the opposite. I like him more on DraftKings and FanDuel at his price point. Kind of like Karis LeVert is only 6,300 today. He's struggled the last couple games, but we know the upside that he has, and he's going to have the opportunity today. And then if the Raptors are shorthanded again, or if they're missing Van Fleet, then Norman Powell looks good at that price point at just 4,900 on FanDuel. And if Van Fleet's in, then you could take a shot there at 6,200. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for right now. I think probably LeVert looks pretty good right now, 6,300. Just the minutes. He's still playing good minutes. And Temple is also questionable. Could open up more minutes for LeVert. But other than that, he's cheap. Price tags come down a little bit. And every time that happens, I would take a shot there. Small forward, LeBron is a lot more appealing on FanDuel at 10.5 than he is on DraftKings. You could play him either way if Davis is in or out on FanDuel. I like Tobias at 73. That's pretty cheap. Paul George is down to 6,800 on FanDuel. That is pretty ridiculous. The minutes are still kind of up and down for him, but he's been playing more and more minutes. Played 30 against Philly. Now it's a revenge spot heading back to OKC. Could see him play like 32, 33. Gallinari's appealing on Fanduel at 58. Anunoby, if the guys are out again, then he looks good at 57. So there's a lot to like at small forward on Fanduel today. I still like Tobias at 7,300. Power forward, I like Kawhi Leonard at 91. Al Horford looks great at 6,200. Ibaka looks great at 6,200 if he's in. Then you have Trey Lyles, looks pretty good at 5,400. Been playing pretty well. Gonna have to play more minutes again today with the injuries. So I think he looks good if you're playing a Spur. Just because they don't really have anybody else to play the 5. And besides Eubanks, who doesn't play that much. And then if you're going cheap, you have nice options. Saric, 45. Jeremy Grant looks great if Millsap's out. It's a late game, so we might not get that news, but if you're willing to take a shot. And then I kind of like Mike Scott, too. He played 26 minutes. I believe he started the second half. If he starts again today, he's only 3,800 on FanDuel. That looks pretty good. So right now, I would say Al Horford is still the guy that I want, just because he's cheap. And then over at center, it's going to be DeAndre Ayton I like at 8,600. And then I like Steven Adams. And I like Biyombo a little bit, but not that appealing. I like him a little bit more on Draftkings. Really, it's DeAndre Ayton, Steven Adams, or Marquise Chris, the 3 that I'm really looking at. Go with Adams. Once again, at 6,300. I like the upside that he has. He's pretty cheap. He's been good at getting blocks and steals lately. And it's a Clippers team that their centers have kind of done well against them. Their centers, Harrell's undersized at playing the 5, and then Zubac he's a decent player, but he doesn't play. He's not a great defender, so I think Adams at home will have some success there. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for this Tuesday slate. We'll keep you guys up to date on Twitter as things change. Thanks for watching, and good luck today.